for attending our presentation on surviving the semester without losing your mind. We have a special guest speaker, Laura Wall. She's a holistic life coach and a mindset and productivity specialist. She actually has a cuter name than that, but I actually forbid her from not sharing that. So she may go ahead and share that with you guys if she wants to. I just want to let you all know, for those of you who have RSVP'd, Laura has some additional information and resources that she will likely send out to you after the training on those email addresses. I just want to make a really quick pitch. We are trying to do a lot more outreach for our student body and our ASU community. So we have a couple of upcoming webinars. One is on stress management and anxiety tomorrow. On Wednesday at 4 o'clock, we have a mindfulness webinar. And next Friday after that, we have an accessing resources during COVID-19. So anyone who's struggling with finding ways to pay the rent or security, we will give you a whole list of resources. So please check your emails to access that. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Laura. Let's talk.
Thank you, Mark. Welcome, everybody. So as Mark expressed, I am a coach. I'm a holistic coach, and I generally work with entrepreneurs. However, I believe that working online with online entrepreneurs is very similar to working at home and doing school at home. In fact, I take a lot of courses online myself, so I feel like I'm a little bit in the same boat as you are. I moved online about 14 years ago, and I've gotten very comfortable with all of the different formats, although there's always something new to learn, of course. Like today, we're learning about WebEx and what it's capable of doing and not capable of doing. So today, I want to help you do exactly what I do with my clients, which is helping you with your mindset around getting comfortable with doing school online, as well as helping you kind of discover who you are and how you work. What are your preferences? What is the best way for you to set yourself up for success as you are continuing your coursework online? I'm going to switch over to a presentation, and we'll take a look at some of my slides that I created for y'all today. There we go. Fantastic. All right, so hopefully this little picture here is not going to be us by the end of this course. What I want for you is something completely different than that manic look. In fact, today my intention is I want you to walk away with at least one tool or one idea that's going to help you stay focused and continue making progress on your coursework. Or maybe there's an idea that you're going to find that's going to help you manage your time and your day and your mental energy a little better. Or maybe there's going to be one tool that'll help you kind of deal with some of those feelings that you're going through, that we're all going through right now as we're dealing with COVID, whether it's feeling anxious about the future, anxious about the work that we're doing, maybe feeling a bit isolated, or even feeling kind of down and depressed. Absolutely normal. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my study ritual. I had to go back in the old memory bank there to think back, because it's been a little bit since I've been in school myself. So I had a really great study ritual. Probably not the very best one, but it definitely worked for me. And so this is kind of what it looked like. So when I was getting ready to prep for an exam, like a big exam, these were my go-tos right here. So as you can see, I was not very holistic back in the day. I started with chocolate ice cream. I had to have peanut M&Ms to balance out all that sugar. Of course, I wanted to go with the Diet Coke. And then I usually would put on MTV for some tunes. We didn't have Spotify when I was going to college, unfortunately. So that was my ritual, was to get myself ready to study. Now, there are some good things here. So first and foremost, I set aside a time. I created a ritual that was meaningful to me, and it included some, as you can see, some fun and some pleasure here, as well as I was very focused on a desired outcome. I was going to eat all these things, I was going to do a certain thing, and then I was going to take my exam. Now, for those of you that are on the call today, I'm sure you've kind of noticed this disconnect or shift that y'all are all making. So the old way of you going to school was you had a routine. You would get up, you would get dressed, maybe you'd walk or drive to class, and your classes, the time was set for you, the place was set for you, the room was set up a certain way to be able to create a maximum learning environment for you. Everything was somewhat controlled for you. Nowadays, you still have to get up. You may or may not have to get dressed. I do admit to wearing a lot of stretch pants to my Zoom meetings. And you stay where you're at. So there's not even that stimulation of getting outside. And then some of the scheduling is done for you. So I'm sure there's classes online at certain times that you have to attend. But the biggest thing is you're in charge of you, which for the first time can feel really uncomfortable. It can feel like you're untethered or it's unsteady and you're not really sure what to do. It can feel like absolute freedom or it can feel like absolute chaos or both. I've certainly felt that when I shifted over from working in person to being at home online. There was a lot of freedom days wearing flip-flops and pajama pants and not really starting work until maybe noon, those types of things. So there's definitely an adjustment period. So as you're going into the rest of the semester, I want you to think about where can you control your controllables? And so today we're going to look at 3 places that you can control your controllables. And the first one is before you ever even get to class. So like I said before, you had a classroom that was set up for maximum learning. Now you have your own environment to set up. So when we sit in any environment, whether it's at a restaurant or our friend's house or taking data through our eyes, we're processing things at a subconscious level, and all these little bits of data, they're affecting us not only physically, but emotionally and mentally. And our bodies tend to take cues from what we're seeing, as well as what physical position we're in. So if we're in kind of a slumped over, relaxed position, our body's like, yeah, we're gonna chill. Now, if we're sitting up straight, then it's like, oh, we need to pay attention to something. So for example, if you're in a darker room, you may feel more relaxed. If you are in a room with bright windows, you'll feel more alert. If you're in a classroom with a ton of people, you may feel that energy of all those other students there. Now that you're at home and you're not having all of those students around you, your friends, it may feel like there's less energy. It may feel kind of, again, kind of sad or depleted. So we're going to have to set up our own environment so that it supports us as we're trying. Down to even the clothes we're wearing, whether we've taken a shower or not, whether we've put on makeup or not. When I first shifted over from working in an office to working at home, one of the things that I found out about myself was I had to put shoes on. I had to put shoes on because I needed an external or an environmental cue to tell my mind, tell my body, hey, we're about to get some shit done. If I put shoes on, and not house slippers and not flip-flops, but real bona fide shoes, regardless of the outfit, there was something that triggered my mind to think, this is important. This is actually, we're going to do something today. So I found that I actually needed shoes back in the day to kind of set up that environment. And again, we can talk about the environment around us, whether we're sitting at a desk or having a lamp, or we also are talking about the environment of our body. So what we're looking for is trying to find the right blend of comfort and activation. And by activation, what I mean is things that encourage us or inspire us. So if we're sitting on the couch and we're looking at a dirty pile of laundry and we're looking at a dusty television with the shades drawn, that may not inspire us. We may not feel excited about the environment we're in. It may make us feel more sluggish. So we want to be very intentional about where we're sitting in our house or our apartment, as well as what things we put around us. So some of the things that I suggest are sitting in front of a window, sitting near a window, sitting at an actual desk. So we're wanting to mimic things like we did when we were back in the classroom. sitting at a desk with a chair that makes you kind of like, here I am fidgeting in my chair, sitting up straight, as well as maybe having things around you that are, again, inspiring to look at. And that could just be that maybe you've gone out and grabbed a handful of wildflowers and stuck them in a vase on your desk, something enjoyable to look at, because if we can bring some pleasure or enjoyment to the process, that changes our emotional state and our approach to our learning. The next part of the controllables to control is our self-care. And by self-care, these are the two biggest components that I think really affect our ability to learn and take in data. Number one is sleep. If we don't sleep, if we don't get good enough sleep, we are really working in a compromised state, and we're not able to bring in new information or hold on to that information very well as eating. So a lot of times, and this was me in the past, my breakfast might have been a banana. A lot of times it was a cup of coffee, or maybe 2, or maybe 3. And so what happens if we don't eat before we try to learn something or try to study something is somewhere in that study period, we may have an energy crash. And as a result, your body sends out some hormones to remind you, hey, you need to eat. And one of those hormones that it sends out is a little bit of adrenaline. And that adrenaline can make you feel anxious. And when we feel anxious, it's really hard to learn. So I strongly encourage, if you are able to eat something pretty good, pretty healthy, even if it's a small meal, just before you sit down to your classes or to your study time. The other thing that you can control and observe, and this may be more geared towards your study time, your classes may be set, is noticing when is your energy at a peak? What is your preference? Are you a morning person? Are you the night owl? I tend to be a morning lark. I like to get up early and I have tons of energy in the morning. By about 9 o'clock at night, my brain's shutting down. It's not the time for me to learn anything. That's not when I do any of my online coursework. So again, trying to pair up your activities with your learning and your studying to your own unique rhythm and the way that you approach your day. So if you know you're a nighttime person, and you're able to shift all your classes or all your study sessions to the afternoon and to the evening, you're going to find you're much more productive than if you're a nighttime person trying to force yourself to go to a study group at 8 a.m. So the action step I have for y'all is just writing down a couple of things of what you can do to set up your surroundings so that they're more enjoyable, more comfortable, and or inspiring. And again, it could just be putting some of your favorite things around you, a picture frame of you and your friends on a great vacation. Maybe you have, like I said, something of beauty that you want to look at, whether it's a picture on the wall or looking out the window. But just jot down a few ideas of things that you can do to set up your environment so that it really encourages you to feel positive and energetic about what you're about to take on. All right. And I would love for any of you that feel comfortable sharing, if you'll just put it in the chat box and just give me an idea of something that you want to bring into your environment to help you feel more inspired and excited about being at home and studying and working online. Awesome, Shania. She said she's going to start opening her windows and clearing away clutter before she sits down. That's brilliant because, again, our mind goes and sees that clutter, and all of a sudden it creates a to-do list, which is kind of distracting because we're trying to focus on something at hand. So it might be thinking about, oh, I should probably organize this, and you may not be as focused with your work. Thank you, Autumn. She said she's got a handwritten letter from her mom on the wall next to her desk. Yeah, having those little teeny tokens, again, those kind of help us connect to like a deeper reason of why we're doing what we're doing, which is, you know, we're not going to school to get through this class or to get to the test. We're going because we want to expand who we are. We want to have an amazing career. We want to spend more time with our families and our friends and get connected to them outside of school, outside of our career. So I have a couple of things on my desk that inspire me. One of them is my Austin Loco bottle. I always have that here because I'm from Austin. I'm now San Angeloan. Jamie says that she likes opening a window. She says that helps a lot. And they worked at home without opening the window, and it was boring and dark. Just opening a window, letting in light makes you feel more awake and productive. Absolutely. The more natural light you can bring into your environment, it really does something at a very deep level. So, of course, we use all different types of lighting, but the neon lighting actually is not great in terms of our hormonal state. It kind of makes us feel kind of sloggy. And natural light like sunshine really quite literally helps brighten us up. Awesome. Yeah. So someone else said that they are going to move their desk into a brighter space. Great. Put some pictures of their family that they're missing right now. Fantastic. Yeah, just setting up your office, your command center, and making it your own, personalizing it. Like I have one of my favorite crystals here, which is a big giant sunstone crystal that's shaped in a heart. I've got some of my favorite tokens from memories past, some heart-shaped glasses from a groovy party I went to with friends. So just little things, again, as you glance around, it's not like you have to focus on them, but those do really kind of lodge in our subconscious and remind us that life is much broader than the fact that we're just in this situation right now. Fantastic. Thank you all for sharing. I'm going to go back to the presentation now, so we'll switch back screens. All right, so we've talked a little bit about what we can do to get ourselves ready to actually enjoy what we're doing. And again, if we can bring any type of pleasure or positivity into it, it's going to affect how easily you are able to learn. So again, think about, do you need shoes on? Where are you sitting? What are you looking at? What are you wearing? So you may even want to bring in some more comfort. I know on cold days, I've grabbed like one of my favorite fuzzy wraps and I put that on just to make myself feel better. All right, so the next part of this is, what are we going to do during the class or the study session? So first and foremost, maybe you got used to just kind of rolling with your classes, and now that you've got study sessions outside of your classes, really setting up a time, putting it on your phone with an alarm and blocking off specific time to study. You know, it used to just kind of fit in before, and now when we have this expanse of time in front of us, it's really easy to procrastinate. There's laundry to do. Oh, what am I going to eat for dinner? Very easy to get distracted. So if we block off our time on our phone, on a traditional calendar, that gives us, again, that visual signal of when we're going to start and stop. And we need to have a stop. So quick story, when I was first moved out and had my own house and was trying to save up money, I learned about this 60-10-10-10-10 principle, which was trying to use just 60% of your income for all of your expenses. They said 10% should go into short-term savings, so like emergencies. 10% should go into long-term savings, and that would be like if I needed to re-roof my house. 10% should go into retirement savings. And then the last 10%, they said, you need to designate for fun. Because if you don't set money aside for fun, then you're going to rob one of those other accounts, usually one of your savings accounts. So same thing with your time blocking. Be sure to block off an ending to your studying, stopping the studying, as well as blocking off time where you just don't have to do a dang thing, where you can just really absolutely relax. I have a phrase for it, kind of effing off. I'm trying to keep it PG for you, Mark. So having that end time really helps us stay focused during the zone where we're working versus the time that we're not. The next thing that I strongly suggest is a pregame ritual. So I'm sure you've seen this with any sport that you've been involved in, maybe with the ASU games. You know, there's things that go on before the game. There's tailgating, people are getting into uniforms, people might be doing some warm-up drills, there might be some cheering, there might be some dancing around, there might be meeting some friends. That's getting into state. That's getting into the right emotional and mental state to prepare for what's about to happen. So same thing for working at home, working on school at home. The first thing we want to do, just like a team would do, we want to set an intention. Well, the team's intention is to win. So your intention might be, okay, I want to complete this chapter. I want to finish writing this summary. I want to get 1/3 of this report done. And again, be very specific. Our mind needs a target. So if we just say, oh, I'm going to do some reading, then you're probably just going to do some reading. It may be 3 pages. So give your mind a specific target when you set that intention. Then the next thing you want to do is get kind of revved up. You want to change your energy. So part of what I like to do is I like to use music. I have some different playlists. You can use music. You could use movement. So I'm a big fan of dance breaks because sitting at a desk for a while, your energy kind of gets stuck and you feel kind of, I don't know, I just feel kind of constricted after a while. So moving around kind of helps elevate your energy. It elevates your adrenaline and you feel engaged and focused. Another thing you can do is using a mental image. So using an image of what you want to happen at the end of your study session. So seeing yourself holding the report completed or seeing yourself pushing send and you're sending that to your professor, or even seeing yourself in your off time, having a mental image of like, oh man, I can't wait to see myself gaming tonight, or seeing yourself sitting on the couch enjoying a big bowl of buttered popcorn while you're Netflixing. So seeing the end game, that helps change our energy and brings a lot of it up. The next thing that I'm going to encourage y'all to do is what I call elevator breathing. So some of you have an oil sample, and the oil that we're using today, I'm going to get a little more into the essential oils here in a minute. It's called the blend that I've made for y'all that have the sample. It is a blend specifically for focus. So it includes 2 different oils. One of them is rosemary, and the other one is this one. It's Northern Lights. Let's see if I can get a little closer. Northern Lights Black Spruce. So if you have that oil sample with you, I want you to go ahead and open it up. It's a teeny tiny oil. Take that cap off, and we're going to do this elevator breathing together. If you don't have an oil sample, no problem. We're going to still do the breathing together. And this breathing is super, super simple, and I'll tell you why we're doing it when we get done. All right, so I'm going to give the oil folks a little chance to fumble around and get their oil out. So if you do have a drop of oil, what I want you to do is take 1 drop and put it in your palm. You're going to rub your palms together. And while we do the elevator breathing, I want you to just hold your hands close to your nose. You don't have to touch your nose. Just hold them over your nose so that you can inhale and smell the oil. And for those of you without it, you don't have to hold your hands up to your nose. So for everyone out there listening, I want you to just go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to connect with the spot in the middle of your chest where your heart would reside, or your heart does reside, would reside, Laura, where your heart resides. So I want you to imagine an elevator right there. And as we breathe, I want you to imagine that elevator is going to go from your heart and it's going to travel all the way up to your brain. And we're going to do this for a counted measure of 4. So as we inhale, I want you to take the elevator from your heart all the way up to your brain. And as you exhale, I want you to allow that elevator to slide back down to your heart. And again, if you can't really see a picture in your mind, that's okay. Just focus on the counting and focus on your breath. So we're going to do it for just a little bit now. And what I want you to do before we start is I want you to just notice how you feel right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, do you feel like a 5? Do you feel amazing? Maybe you feel like a 10 right now. Maybe you feel like a 2. So just kind of notice how you feel before we do this breathing. All right, so let's begin the breathing. Those of you using the oil, put your hands over your nose and start by noticing your breath. Bring your mind's eye to the center of your chest and imagine the elevator there. So as you inhale, count up 4 floors. So allow that elevator to rise up and go all the way to your head. And as you exhale, counting down 4, 3, 2, 1, going back down to your heart. Let's repeat that again. As you inhale, counting up 1, 2, 3, 4. Top floor is your brain. Now exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Bottom floor is your heart. Again, inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. A couple more times, just doing it at your own pace. Inhaling and allowing that elevator to rise up. Exhaling and allowing that elevator to come on back down. Continue with that breath. Slow and steady. Great. And as you bring it back down to your heart, I want you to just imagine what happiness looks like. Could be a memory from another time where you were outside doing something you love. So just think about what it feels like to be happy as you continue with that breath. Just allowing the elevator to slide up and down in between those 2 areas. And just focus on generating that happiness feeling in your body. Excellent. Okay. So go ahead and stop. Open your eyes. And I want you to just notice how you feel right now. And again, I'm going to stop the sharing of the screen because I'd love to get some feedback from y'all in the chat box. I'd like to hear if you notice any difference in the before and now the after of just a little bit of breathing. Awesome. So someone said, I am more chill. Excellent. Relaxed. Great. Great. Someone said, just thinking about being happy put a smile on their face, and before they were feeling tired. Someone who said they used the oil said they feel more energized and honestly more ready for the day. Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. Awesome. Thanks, Leslie. I appreciate you stopping by. Leslie's heading out to their meeting. All right. Great. So the reason why we did that, and I'm going to go back to sharing my screen as I explain, the reason why we did that was absolutely intentional. It wasn't just to breathe some breaths because I happen to also teach meditation, but part of what we're doing, especially with the oil, is we are trying to oxygenate our brain and we are trying to change our state. So when we are in an anxious state or a busy-minded state, our brain is creating certain brain waves that make us a little scattered. When we move into a deep breathing state, we're tapping into a different part of our nervous system that helps us feel very calm, focused, and relaxed. And when we're relaxed, we're in a much more receptive state for learning, gathering information, as well as creating new ideas. So just doing 2 minutes of a little bit of deep breathing right before you get started, either with an oil or without, can help you get that calm focus that you need to approach your work. So after we do our setting of intention and getting revved up and then kind of breathing, the next thing is game on. So as we move into getting, oh, I'm sorry. I'm skipping over something. Let's go to the oils. I do want to teach y'all a little bit about oils. Oh, all right. Yep, there we go. All right. So the 2 oils that were in the blend today, the first one was rosemary. And so rosemary stimulates memory. So again, as we're learning new things, we're trying to store it in our memory. It contains something called sesquiterpenes. So all of the plants that they make essential oils from, they have a couple of different jobs. One of their jobs is to protect themselves from invaders or people, things, bugs and things that are wanting to, you know, kill them basically. So they create this essential oil, and part of its job is to be preventative, is to block things, is to create chemical reactions. And so the sesquiterpenes are part of that chemical constituent of the essential oil. Oh, hello there. That's definitely not Northern Lights blue spruce. That's just a picture of a window. So my picture didn't make it in. But the Northern Lights blue spruce looks like a big, gorgeous Christmas tree, like you would find somewhere in Colorado. And the spruce, it supports respiratory health by increasing oxygenation of the cells. And it contains sesquiterpenes. Now, the monoterpenes and the sesquiterpenes have very particular roles. Tree oils in general, so any oils that are from a tree, whether it's from a pine tree or a cedar tree, there's cedarwood oil, there's frankincense oil that's from a boswellia tree. Any of those oils, if you think about a tree, it is solid, it has deep roots, it has a very majestic appearance. And so with those oils, they kind of transmit some of that energy to us and help us feel safe and grounded. So the tree oils have a grounding and calming effect on our nervous system. The monoterpenes are assisting with the programming of our cells. So they're actually helping us record information as we're learning. The sesquiterpenes help deliver oxygen molecules to the cells, so like the hemoglobin does in the blood. So again, like I was saying, our brains need to be oxygenated. We need as much oxygen as we can get as we are learning something. So if we are in a kind of depressed state, we're not taking in a lot of oxygen. If we are, like I said, just like we did, as we really encourage that deep breathing, that's what's helping us feel more alert and alive. So better thinking and better focus when we breathe deeper. Now, the oils themselves are able to cross the blood-brain barrier, and that affects our limbic system, which affects our mood and our emotions. So 1 drop of oil can split up into 40,000 molecules, which are teeny, 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 tiny particles, and they are able to get into our 1 trillion cells in our body. So just with a small drop of oil, you're not just smelling something that smells great, you're actually affecting not only your brain chemistry, but your body chemistry as well. So our sense of smell is one of our oldest senses, and it bypasses the processing center of our brain. It goes directly into our limbic system. And our limbic system is that fight or flight system. So when we're inhaling some oils that say, hello, stay alert, or hello, stay calm, that's what we're taking in, as opposed to feeling foggy or feeling anxious. We're able to change our state with those oils. So go ahead in the chat box and name something else that you plan to do to set yourself up for success when you're going to go to school online or you're studying online. And again, maybe it's using oils, or maybe it's using music. Maybe it's getting up and dancing, or you know, maybe you're going to time your studying after your workouts when you know you feel really alert. Environment. They put their table outside and they work on their front porch. Brilliant. Here's someone that has a bulletin board that inspires them. So they're going to move that by their study area, and they're going to light a candle. So again, kind of helping with that chill feeling. Yeah, someone else says that they're going to schedule their workout time and schedule their study time so that they're not overworking themselves. Smart. Yeah, we really need to block off those times and give ourselves some breaks in between. Very good. All right. head back to my presentation. All right. So when I'm getting ready to do some work or I'm going to do something creative, I have found that there are 3 tools that help me be really, really successful. And this is kind of what they look like here. So number 1 is a timer, and I use the timer on my phone. The next is noise canceling headphones. This has saved my life many times because my husband is retired and he's at home full time. And it's been this way ever since I've been working before we ever started sequestering. So if you're at home with mom and dad or you have roommates, everybody's got something else going on, having some headphones to block out the world really helps with the focus. The next thing I do is I have a playlist on Spotify that I use. And this music is very chill. There's no words, so it's not distracting me. I'm not trying to tune into the lyrics. I'm not trying to catch the beat, but rather it's helping me maintain kind of that relaxed but focused state. So those 3 things have been game changers for me. The next thing I use when I'm focused on, again, learning or creating something in my business is I use a 25-5 system. So I took a course with a company called Coursera called Learning How to Learn. And one of the things they talked about was our minds can only really take in so much data. And it's about 22 to 25 minutes worth. So instead of trying to have a creative zone of 3 hours, that's a really long time to try to force my mind to concentrate. I do it in shorter blocks. So I do 25 minutes using my time, and I give myself a 5-minute break. So maybe you remember back in junior high where they give you like a 15-minute class, and then they give you 10 minutes to go to your locker, get a drink of water, see your friends in the hall. Same principle. So if you're trying to force yourself into really long study periods, you're going to find kind of like your mind cramps up or it's going to start resisting learning the information. When we take that break, it allows our mind to kind of digest what's going on. And in those 5 minutes, I suggest you do one of 2 things. Either do a bio break, as in biology. So go get something to drink, go to the bathroom, go outside, get some sunlight on your face. Do something for your body in that 5 minutes, or use the other 5-minute break. So again, we're talking about an hour. You've got 2 25-minute blocks in there. So in your other 5-minute break, do something fun. Do something enjoyable. Go watch a TikTok video or a couple of videos. Watch a Saturday Night Live clip. Do something that is for pleasure and enjoyable. And again, there's a purpose behind this, so that when we are doing something enjoyable, there's a bunch of brain chemistry hormones that come online, and they really help lock in that learning if we have pleasure associated with it. So then you're alternating between focused intention and studying or learning, and then a little bit of a break. And going back and forth really helps your mind assimilate and bring in all that information a little easier. All right, so the last part, and then I'm going to open up the floor to questions, is after your class or your study session. So first and foremost, celebrate your small wins. What do I mean by that? So let's say you set aside 25 minutes and you were going to finally finish up that stupid report and you were going to press that send button and get it off to your professor. So if you get that done in that 25 minutes, do a victory lap, do a dance, grab a piece of chocolate, celebrate, and give yourself a high five. Give yourself a mental atta-girl or an atta-boy. Again, we want to elevate that energy of positivity around what we've accomplished. That does a couple of things. That helps clear out some of that stuck energy, and it helps re-energize us so that we can re-engage the next time we sit down for our next time block of working. As I mentioned before, use a reward. So using a reward, again, that stick has a carrot on the end of it. So if you're able to reward yourself each time you complete different tasks, you're going to, again, form a positive association with the working or with the doing, as well as incorporating time off. Like I mentioned before, blocking time off. And if you can connect the 2 of them. So for example, let's say you're a night person. You usually don't wake up until noon. Maybe you have afternoon classes. And then the thing you like doing in the evening is gaming. You want to game all night. Go for it, man. So you know that the thing that you really, really want to get to is gaming. So that's your reward. So what you want to do is put the study sessions and put the classes in there before the reward so that you're working through them. And again, when you stop, you get something really satisfying and exciting when you're done. And what I find is, let's say I only have 20 minutes to write an email to a client. If I tell myself, okay, at the end of this, I'm going to sit down and have a really awesome snack. You know, before I was kind of like, oh, I'm kind of fussing around. I may not get it done if I give myself too much time. But when I give myself a timer and a timed amount, and I know there's going to be a reward at the end, I find that my energy kicks up, my motivation kicks on, and my brain really engages to try to complete the task so it can get to the fun part. So incorporating fun, incorporating pleasure, and rewarding yourself for doing these hard things, because it is different. It is difficult because we're shifting. We've shifted from a very particular system to a completely different system. So there's going to be some resistance there. That's natural. Also, I know that a lot of you are not accustomed to being in your home, sequestered alone like I've been. So I want you to make sure that you block off time each week to connect with others, and doing this intentionally, because it's really easy to sit around and just, like I said, kind of be down and depressed. I've battled depression since I was 13. I've learned a lot of tricks and tools to help myself not get into that state. And sometimes it's doing the opposite of what you think. Sometimes it is making a commitment to someone else and you know they're going to call you. So a couple of things that I've been doing lately is I grabbed the Google Duo app so I can talk with friends face to face. I can at least see their face, even if they don't have an Apple phone. I've been using House Party, which is a great app that lets you do games, have a little bit of play, have a little bit of silliness and laugh with friends. Snapchat, of course. I'm not a Snapchat expert, but all my friends that are, they say it's super fun to do. Setting up Zoom online. So a Zoom online basic account is absolutely free, and you could have study groups there so you can see other people. And then the last thing is having a study buddy, just having somebody, it could be your best friend, it could be someone that's in the class, having someone to keep you accountable. Because sometimes when we're not able to keep ourselves accountable, it's a little easier if we ask someone else to help us stay accountable. So giving permission to someone else and say, you know what, I really don't want to get this project done by Friday, and it's due on Friday, and I really want to just take the afternoon off, so I want to get it done by noon. Would you send me a text at 10:30 and just start texting me and harassing me to make sure that I'm doing it? I'd really appreciate that. And remember, accountability is permission-based, so you're going to give someone permission to nag you a bit. That's how accountability works best. And last but not least, after your class and your study session, back to that rest. So this is where our brain locks in the learning. If we don't take rest periods out, our brain is not able to take what it's learned, which is stored in short-term memory, and move it to the long-term memory. So we really have to have a component of rest somewhere in our day. And again, that can be those 5-minute breaks that you're taking, as well as, you know, having meditation time or even taking a nap in the middle of the day. So the next exercise that I would like for you to do just right now, and this is just practice for observing your emotional state, and you don't have to put it in the chat, this can be private for you, is just to notice and name how you're feeling in the moment. So this is very helpful for us managing our emotional state. So you can ask yourself, okay, I don't feel right. What am I feeling? And see if you're able to just notice and name the emotion. Is it sadness? Is it grief? Maybe there's things that you've lost. There's plans that you had. And once you're able to identify that feeling, then following up and asking yourself, what do I need in this moment to feel 5%, 10% better? So we can't go from discomfort or anxiety or grief or anger or frustration all the way over here to joy, but we can move a little bit along the spectrum. So we may need something to help us soothe ourselves. It could be taking a shower, going outside for a quick walk, doing something again to change that energy, or it may just be acknowledging what we're feeling in that moment. And then reaching out for help from a friend, texting somebody. Sometimes just sitting with that emotion and acknowledging it is very valuable to just kind of own it. When we resist it, it seems to kind of climb on top of us and persist. But when we just acknowledge it and say, this is the truth, the feeling can kind of dissipate a bit. So again, just right now on your sheet of paper, just notice and name where you're at right now in this moment. Awesome. So we've got about 10 more minutes. I would love to hear if you have any questions for me. If you'll just put them in the chat box, I'm happy to answer any of those. There was one thing that I mentioned that you may all be feeling from time to time, and I'm happy to explain it a little bit more, and that is resistance. So sometimes when we're trying to do something that we think we want to do, resistance jumps up and tells us, no, you don't want to do that right now. All right, so Jamie Hall said, where do you get your essential oils? So the brand that I use, Jamie, is Young Living. And Young Living is a brand that I researched thoroughly because I wanted something that was the highest grade, organic, had been tested. And as I learned about them, what I found was a lot of the oils at the grocery store, they are not the best. In fact, what they're doing is they're kind of a knockoff version. They're not getting you all of the chemical components that make it a therapeutic grade. And by therapeutic grade, what I mean is the ones in the grocery store kind of have like a nice smell, but they really don't do anything on a cellular level for your body. They don't really change or affect your mood. To be able to purchase Young Living oils, you find someone that is a rep, a distributor, which would be someone like me, and then you can sign up and you can purchase a kit, and then you don't have to buy anything else ever. So you can buy them one at a time later, or you don't have to buy any of them. And again, they have all different types. They have single oils, so like they might have one that's lavender or lemon, and then they also have other ones that are blends. And with blends, they put a lot of intention behind each of those because they're combining a lot of different plant material. And so one of the ones that I like is called Magnify Your Purpose. Hold that up to there. And again, it's several different oils. And again, it changes my energetic state and it makes me think and focus and get pretty excited about whatever I'm doing. Awesome. Let's see. So Autumn is asking, how do you keep the motivation to work out? Awesome, Autumn. So motivation is a really tricky thing. So we think that we need to be motivated to do something. But actually what happens in terms of our brain chemistry and our outlook and our mindset is motivation usually happens after we take action. So when I'm not feeling motivated to work out, this is what I do. I trick myself. So I say to myself, because I know I need it, I know I'm going to feel better afterwards, but I don't really want to. So instead I say, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to put our shoes on and our clothes on. That's all. That's all we're going to do. And then once I have the clothes and the shoes on, I'm like, oh, you know what? I've already got the stuff on. So then I say, okay, we're just going to do 5 minutes. We're just going to do 5 minutes of something. It could be doing some mobilization work. It could be some stretching. It might be doing some breath work. It might be doing foam rolling, if you're familiar with foam rolling. I just do 5 minutes because what you're trying to do is you're trying to clear out the mental clutter because you've got a lot of stuff in there blocking you from getting to the energy of actually doing the workout. So I find if you start doing a little bit of gentle movement and promising yourself you can stop after 5 minutes, once you start moving, you start bringing your energy up, and then you tend to find a little more energy to do something. So I keep tricking myself into more 5-minute increments. And again, some exercise is always better than no exercise. So if you're used to doing a full hour workout and you've just had a big long day, maybe you've taken some tests, you've been working on a paper, and you don't it's 9 o'clock at night. You don't want to do a whole hour of workout. See if there's some way you could shrink it down to an achievable size. Okay, I'm going to do 5 minutes of some stretching, and then I think I'll do 2 things. I think I'll just do squats and maybe some push-ups on the back of my couch. So just doing a smaller amount. And again, it's that pain-pleasure thing. So our brain's like, oh, an hour sounds like too much, but 15 minutes, that's not too bad. I'll be finished quickly and I'll feel great. So shrinking down to a smaller size, and again, just starting with a little something. And if you're able to, incorporating a buddy into it, because our energy always changes when we partner with someone else. So even if you could text your friend and like, hey, I want to do like 10 push-ups and I don't feel like doing them. Will you do them with me? And tag, posting a picture, set up your phone so it takes a picture and you send that to her and she sends one to you. Using someone else's energy, borrowing a little bit of their motivation sometimes can help too. Awesome. So I may be saying, okay, can't see her name, but someone else commented, never underestimate the healing power of blasting 80s music and dancing around your kitchen like a total idiot. I think that's the other thing that is really important to notice about movement in terms of that it changes our energetic state. It doesn't have to be a structured workout. We don't have to go to Instagram to our favorite workout person and do everything they're doing with all of the weights. Sometimes that puts a lot of barriers in front of us, like, oh, I've got to go and get the weights and get set up and get a towel and get some water. So think about doing movement like snacks. I call it movement snacks. So instead of trying to do a big giant workout every day, if you're not feeling it, see if you can put 5 minutes in here and 5 minutes in here in between things. Like you go outside and walk your driveway for 5 minutes. You get done with something else and you do 5 minutes of push-ups on the back of the couch or on the floor. And all movement counts. So even if you're doing some chores like vacuuming, throw some music on and dance. You're doing dishes, set a timer, see how fast you can get done with it. And again, moving briskly, just moving briskly, even with chores, gets that energy level up and changes how you feel. And that's really what we want from exercise. Part of it, of course, is, building strength and being healthy, but part of it is how it makes us feel when we're done, and that's that elevated state. Fantastic. Maria says she's interested in buying the oil. So when I send out, tomorrow, I will send all of you an email with a little bit of information about other things that I'm offering that are free that you might be interested in, as well as my nonprofit organization that's called Hearts of Healing, and a service that I offer that's absolutely free. It's called Aroma Freedom, and it helps you if you are trying to get through kind of some stuckness. Maybe you're getting over a breakup, maybe you're grieving a loss, maybe you have repeated mindset problems, where you just keep thinking about something over and over and it keeps you from moving forward. This technique uses essential oils. We use aromatherapy, a little bit of neuroscience, and a little bit of psychology, and it can be done online just like this in a Zoom call, and that's something that I offer complimentary to the community at large. So I'll put some details in my email about that, as well as email information. If any of you are interested in finding out more about oils, I'm certainly happy to talk to you about that. Or if you need some oil samples, if you didn't get one today and you really want to give them a try, you can reach out to Mark and I can coordinate with him about getting some more oil samples there too. So if anyone did not sign up through the regular link, if you will put your email address in the chat privately to me, then I will make sure to have your email. That would be super helpful. We still have about 5 minutes. If anyone else has a question, I'm happy to answer. All right, while you're thinking about that or you're typing in your contact information, I will talk a little bit about resistance. I touched on it briefly. So resistance always happens when we're trying to make a change. It is inevitable, and it is the thing that we think means that we're not motivated. And resistance is normal and natural. And so Just like we have some energy that comes up to do something, we have an equal amount of energy that comes up and says, no, we're not going to do that. And it's part of it is it's a brain programming thing. Like our brain wants things that are easy and known, and we always do. It likes routine. It likes repetition. It likes rituals. So like I was describing before, when we have that resistance that comes up and says, I don't really want to study right now, but you know that you really do want a good grade. So you're kind of like, well, I really love this class and I want to have a good grade, and yet I have no interest in studying right now. See if you can find a workaround to the resistance. Acknowledge the resistance. I'm feeling resistance right now. And then see if you can find some sort of activity that's similar to what you would do. So let's say you were supposed to read some chapters for this class. See if you could read something else. Could you read a magazine that's enjoyable? Could you read a book that's enjoyable? Ease into the reading. Work your way around to reading the chapter, or shrinking down the study period. So kind of like what I said about the workout, instead of doing a 25-minute study period, shrink it down to 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to read as much as I can in 5 minutes. I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to jot down some quick notes, and then I'm going to take a quick break. And then I'm going to come back again and do it in 5-minute segments. That resistance is just a natural, normal process. We just have to, like I said, find some workarounds and kind of trick ourselves into doing the thing that we really genuinely want to do. Fantastic. All right, I see a couple of you put some contact information in here for me. Wonderful. I'll be sure to send y'all an email tomorrow. Thank you, Brittany, and thank you, Lori. I appreciate both of y'all here being on the call. And I thank everyone here for being on the call today. My contact information will be going out in that email. So if you have other questions you didn't feel comfortable asking here, please feel free to reach out to me. I do not have a virtual assistant. I respond to all of my emails myself. So you'll talk to a real person by email. And again, please consider if that aroma freedom therapy is a good opportunity for you in case you're wanting to clear out some of the old emotions that you might be feeling from making this big transition. And again, I thank you, Mark, for having me here today. And I thank all of you ASU students for being patient and listening. And I hope you the very best for this semester. And again, please feel free to reach out.